Hello my dear 10th standard children, hope you all fine at home. Stay home, stay safe. I am happy to welcome you to this video session of Term 2, Unit 19, Origin and Evaluation of Life. The life of history comprises into two aspects. One is origin of life, another one is evaluation of life. The origin of life means a life begins or starts. Evaluation of the life, the adaptation of the living organism move through the time. So, let's move on to this video session. Hello children. Now we are going to see the origin and evaluation of life. In this lesson, we are going to see about the theories of origin of life. What does mean by origin? Origin means the start of the life. How the life starts in the earth. So, living organism possess the distinct characteristics, display organizational and functional unity, entail a mechanism of origin and evaluation of diversity, maintain the balanced relationship with the nature. So, life is since beginning on the earth had changed through time. We are not in the beginning of the time now, isn't it? So, the life was changed according to the nature. The history of the life comprises of two aspects. One is origin of life on the earth. The another one is what are the mechanisms are involved in the gradual change or adaptation of the living organism through this time, that is called as the evaluation of life. The origin of life is when the life starts on the earth, and evaluation of the life is the adaptation of all living organism, isn't it, that throughout the time how it is changing from one generation or another generation, or from 10 years or 100 years, something like that, the evaluation of the life takes place. So, first we are going to see about the origin of earth. Origin of life is linked with the origin of earth, isn't it? So, the theory is named as the Big Bang theory, that is the origin of universe, okay. This will process the universe as explosive beginning and originated 15 million years ago. The universe compressed with the stars, clouds of gas and dust, which makes in the form of galaxies. This is all you already studied in a geography. The solar system is probably created when gaseous clouds started to collapse due to the force of its own gravity, forming atoms and particles. So, atoms, dust grains, gaseous, dig aggregated to form clumps to give rise to the planets. And this is formed by the solar system. So, this is afterwards named as a solar system as a Milky Way galaxy. So, Earth was supposed to have been formed 4 billion years back. The life after the Earth appears, suddenly the life didn't take part, or a living organism suddenly it's not created. The life appeared 500 million years after only the formation of the Earth takes place. It's really very miracle, children. So, after 500 million years after only the earth, the life is originated in the earth. So, we are going to see the theory of origin of life. What are the theories are postulated in our origin of life is, first one is special creation. In this special creation, life on the earth is a divine creation. It's a miracle, and also attributes the supernatural event at a particular time, it's the path. It also emphasizes that life has not changed ever since its origin. So, when the life starts, it never changed to another life. So, this is continuing as well as when the life origins. The next one is spontaneous generation or abiogenesis. According to this theory, the life originated spontaneously from a lifeless matter. That is, we are believing in that, okay. It is not a true, or it is not completely the false information, but it was believed by this theory. The life of the fishes will originated from the mud, or a frog from the moist soil, or insect from the decaying matter. Like this only the life is originated with the lifeless matter. Next one is biogenesis. It was discovered by the Louis Pasteur in 1862. So he gave an experiment to that. Look at both the pictures, number 1 and number 2 ma. The life originated by the pre-existing life. So he showed the pre-sterilized flask kept closed airtight container. First picture is a closed, and with the killed yeast he put it and did not give rise to any form of life. So when it is closed and he put it into one flask as a killed yeast. So he waited for some time. After that there is no growth in the flask. The second part, the same procedure was carried out, but in the second flask it's open to a air living organism. So at last he got a microbial organs into the second part. So he is discovered that so life originate from the pre-existing life. The next one is a extraterrestrial or a cosmic origin. Some scientists still believes in that life came from outer surface. So some scientists, okay. So this states the units of life that is called as a pores. That will transfer to the different planets including our earth, so that only our life gets begin. So this is the ideas of some astronomers. Next one is chemical evaluation of life. This idea was developed by the Operand, that is 1922, and Halden in 1929. Both of you together proposed this prevailing on earth. The life is always having the series of chemical equation. The first one is a pre-existing non-living things, and then inorganic molecule which forms the diverse organic molecules and will be transferred into the colloidal system which produce a living organism. So you can able to see the picture. So first earth with the inorganic molecule, and then organic molecule, and then colloidal system. The last one living organism begins. And this theory, that is chemical evaluation of life theory, can be accepted by most of the persons. Next, evidence of evaluation. So evaluation you can able to understand by the interrelation between existing organ or related the similar to the extant organism. The interrelation of organism is supported by evidence from different branches of biology. In this, first we are going to see about the homologous organ. What is meant by homologous organ? These are inherited from a common ancestors with a similar development pattern in the embryo. You can able to see the pictures which have the human, cat, whale as well as bat. So human hand and front leg of the cat and flippers of the whale and bat wing, which all looks dissimilar, which is adapted for the different function. So these mode of development and basic structure of these bones are similar. So that's why they are called as a homologous organs. Next one is a analogous organ. These analogous organs look similar but perform for the similar functions also, but they have the different origin. The first one is a bat wing, bird wing, and as well as insect wing. The function of the wing of a bat and wing of a bird and wing of a insects are similar. The basic structures are different. That's why it is called as a analogous organ. So vestigial organ. What is meant by vestigial organ? Which is a non-functional organ. We can say that and regenerated, but there is no use of that vestigial organ. So some organism is developed and functional. In some organism it's not developed and not functional at all. So some of the vestigial organ in human body are appendix, vermiform, caudal vertebra and nidating membrane. Or these are the organs are in the human being, but it is not functioned and also not well developed. While these organs are in some other vertebrates, it can be functional or vertebrate. So which is not functional, which is not generated or not developing, that organ is called as a vestigial organ. Atavism organ is a reappearances of ancestral character in some individual, not in all, in some individuals, that is called as a atavism. Example, the rudimentary tail in a newborn baby and presence of thick hair on the human body, and these are the example of the atavism. Evidence from the embryology. So we are going to study the comparative of embryology in a different animals. So first, embryos from fishes to mammals. The first is fish, second one salamander, tortoise, chicken and human. So this are in the early stage you can able to see all these are very similar in the development, and differentiation of the special characters appears in the later stage of the development, isn't it? While in the earlier stage all looks like a same. Biogenetic clock or a recapitulation theory was given by the Ernst Haeckel. According to this theory, he told about the Onotouch recapitulate or a phenogy. The stage of development of individual, the animal repeats the evolutionary history of entire race of the animal. Then we are going to see the evidence of paleontology. It's a study of fossils. So first Vinci is a father of this paleontology, the study of fossil which understands a line of evolution in many invertebrates as well as vertebrates animals. Okay. So fossil record shows evolution takes place gradually with a simple to the complex organism. I gave you one picture, isn't it? This is Archaeopteryx. It's a fossil bird. This Archaeopteryx is the oldest fossil bird. It is a early bird like found in a Jurassic period. So it is considered as a linking of a reptiles as well as bird. It is connecting between reptiles and birds. It has wings with the feathers like bird, and it also have a long tail and clamped digits, conical teeth like a reptiles. That's why we used to say that it is a connecting link between reptiles as well as birds. Theory of evolution. It is a theory of evolution. It stands from 18th century. It is a gradual change which occurs in the living organism throughout the period of time. So formation of the new species due to the changes in the specific character over the several generations as response to natural selection, that is called as a evolution. So natural changes which occurs by explained to this theory of evolution by Lamarck and Darwin. Lamarckism, that is a Jean-Baptiste 1744 to 1829. He is a French naturalist and he knows about the theory of evolution, and he published is a Physiophic of a Zoology in year of 1809, and he also popularly known the theory of inheritance of acquired character or famous use and disuse theory or Lamarckism. Principle of Lamarckism. So he had a four principle: internal vital force, environment and new feeds or new needs, use disuse theory, Theory of inheritance of acquired character. So, internal vital force. The living organism or the components of the pond tend to increase in the size continuously. This increase in size due to the inherent ability of the organism that he used to say as the internal vital force. Environment and the new needs. Whether there is a change in the environment which gives a need to the organism that will respond to the changing the environment, the organisms also developed into a adapting character. So, for example, we will have that giraffe, why it created with the short front legs and the short neck only. After that, it will becomes a long neck and a long leg. This is due to the environmental changes. This environmental changes only takes place. But adaptation of organism may be in the form of development of the new parts of the body. While giraffe, it will take new parts of the body. So, these two are the important as well as interesting of vital force or environment and the new feeds. The next theory is a use-disuse theory. The landmarks use and disuse theory states that if an organ is used constantly, the organ develops well and gets strengthened. You can see the first picture is a wrestler. So, he is developing his organ and it also gets strengthened. When the organ is not used for a long time, it's gradually degenerate. So, example you can see that kiwi. The second picture is a kiwi bird. It is in New Zealand. So, next the ancestor of a giraffe are provided with a short neck and a short forelimbs when it's created. Due to the shortage of the grass, they are forced to feed the leaves from the trees. The continuous stretching of the neck and forelimbs result the developing of the long neck and the long forelimbs, which is example for a constant use of the organ. The degenerate wing of kiwi is a best example of the disuse. So, these are the use and disuse theory. The next one, a theory of inheritance of acquired character. When there is a change in the environment of animals responds to that change, they developed adaptive structure, the character developed by animal during their lifetime. In response to the environmental change are called as the acquired character. According to this landmark, these acquired characters are transmitted to the offspring by the process of inheritance. We will have a flow chart like this. First, environmental change, a need for a new structure, development of the new structure, which will be have the two organs of use, organs of disuse. Inheritance of adaptive characters, origin, a new species. The organ of disuse, regenerated of the structure. Next we are going to see about the Charles Darwin. He is a great philosopher and a great naturalist of 1809 to 1882, and he proposed a theory is called as a theory of natural selection. In the 18th century, he proposed a natural selection theory. He was born in England of 1809. While he is studying his college, through this friendship, he got a friendship with his professor itself, Henslow. He fascinated towards the nature. So, he admired a British planning a voyage of exploration for 5 years, and he is the man who travelled in the ship for 5 years, and he is also a naturalist. Dr. Henslow was asked to nominate a young naturalist from the voyage. Darwin was given the opportunity During the 5 years of 1831 to 1835, the voyage he visited many parts of the world. The number of islands included the Galapagos Island as well as Pacific Islands. Darwin made an elaborate observation of our nature of the plant, land and animals, the regions of the land, plant, animals where he visited. So further he works for about 20 years for a natural selection theory. Darwin published a observation conclusion under the Origin of Species in 1859. This book was demonstrated a fact of revolutions. It elaborates the natural selection of theory in a evolutionary transformation. So principle of Darwinism. The first was the overprotection. Overprotections mean overpopulation. Thus living beings, even it is a human being or animals, whatever it is, the living beings has the ability to reproduce more individuals to form own progeny, isn't it? So they have the capacity to multiply the geometrical manner, that is a multiplying manner. So one man and a woman, they can reproduce their child, whether it is a 5 or 7. All these 7 children are reproducing their own child as a 3 or 4, something like that. So the reproduction will takes place in a geometrical manner. This will leads to the increase of reproduction, that is the overprotection. Struggle of extents, that is an intraspecific struggle, interspecific struggle and environmental struggle. Variation, the difference. Small variations are important for the revolution. For Darwinism is a favorable variation, unfavorable variations is also there. The favorable variations are useful for the organism, unfavorable variations are harmful or useless for the organism. Surveil for the fitness or a natural selection. While we are surveying this region, you should have adapting or surroundings environment, you should see, and changeovers also will be there. We should challenge all the situation and face to be survey in this world. Organism which unable to face the challenges to unfit to the surface and disappear. Origin of the species. According to the Darwin, new species originated by the gradual accumulation of the favorable variation for numbers of generation. This is the origin of species. So now we are going to see the intraspecific and interspecific. The intraspecific struggle, while you see the picture itself, you can identify it the fight or competition between the individual of a species, whereas interspecific struggle means the competition between the different species. Why these two are having the competition, whether it can be fight for the food or fight for the mates, so they will be fighting of these reasons. So intra means same species, inter means different species. So next we are going to see the important topic of variation. The sexual reproduction which involves a meiosis with a recombination of the genes. This leads difference in the phenotype of offspring from the parents. These differences are called as a variation. So variation is a difference found among the individual of the same species, isn't it? While our parents are not looking like us, isn't it? Or grandparents are not looking like our parents. So that is the variation for the same species. Variation of the raw material which plays an important role in the evaluation. Evaluation could not be possible without the variation. Two types of variations are there. One is somatic variation, another one is germinal variation. The somatic variation which affects the somatic cells It is not heritable. It is due to the environmental factors. Germinal variation is produced in a germ cells. They are inherited. They are present in the ancestors. May come suddenly. So, which is classified into two types. One is continuous and discontinuous variation. Germinal variation, I already told the germinal variation can present the ancestors or may occur suddenly, and these variations are classified into two types. One is continuous variation and another one is discontinuous variation. So, continuous variation, it is a very small variation which occurs in the individual. They are called as a fluctuating variation. This is a gradual accumulation in the population. Like skin color, height, weight of an individual and color of the eyes also differs. It will be a continuous variation. Discontinuous variation is a sudden change which occurs the organism due to mutations. They do not have any intermediate forms. They are large variations are not useful for the evaluation. For example, short leg acorn sheep, 6 or more digits of fingers in human, it is a discontinuous variation. Whether a men or women which have a 6 legs or a 6 fingers in their hand, it can be able to continue into the next generation. So, it is called as a discontinuous variation. The next topic is palobotany. It is derived from the Greek word. The palon is called as the old, and botany is always, you know, that study of plants. It is a branch of paleontology that deals with the recovery and identification of the plants. What does mean by the palobotany? It is a plant fossils of any reserve part of the plant that died a long back. Fossil may be prehistoric impression, may be 100 to million years old. Majority of the plant fossils are disarticulated parts of a plant. It is a rare to find preserved as a whole. So, this is called as a palobotany. Importance of fossils. They throw the light, phlogiston and evaluation of plants. Fossil plants gives a historical approach to the plant kingdom, which is useful in a classification of plants, and these fossil plants are also used in the field of description and comparative anatomy. Now we are going to see the grade 2 researchers. One is Kapsa Maria von Steenberg and second one is Birbal Shanani. The first one is a father of palnobotany. In 1761 to 1838, he was born in Europe. He established the Bohemian Natural Museum in Prague and deemed to be the founder of the modern palnobotany. Birbal Shanai is a father of Indian palnobotany in 1891 to 1945. He presented his research to the two different areas. One is anatomy and morphology and second one is fossil plants of Indian Goenda formation. Fossilization. The process of formation of fossils in rocks, that is called as a fossilization. The common methods of fossilization includes petrification, mold and cast, carbonization, preservation, compression and infiltration. These are the methods of fossilization. Petrification. It is a mineral like silica slowly penetrates in and replaces the original organic tissue, and this is in the form of fossil of a rock like fossil, and this method of fossilization can preserve hard and the soft parts. Mold and the cast. The replica of a plant or animal is preserved in the sedimentary rocks. When the organism gets buried in sediment, it is dissolved by the groundnut water and leaving the hollow depression called mold. Preservation. Original remains can be preserved in the ice or a tree sap. They protect the organism from decay. The entire plant or animal can be preserved. Compression. When the organism dies, the hard part of the body settled at the bottom of the seabed and covered by the sediment. This process of sedimentation goes on continuously and the fossils are formed. The last one, infiltration or replacement. The precipitation of the minerals takes place which later on infiltrate of the cell wall. The process is brought by the several minerals elements like silica, calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate. The hard part are dissolved and replaced by these minerals, and this process is called as a infiltration or a replacement. And the next one is a living fossils. Example I gave you, the ginkgo biloba. These are the living organisms that similar in appearances to the fossilized distant ancestor and usually have no extents for a close features. So it is one of the living fossils. And the next we are going to see the determination the age of fossil. How we are determining the age of fossil? The age of fossils can be determined by the radiocarbon dating. This technique is a half-life of carbon and found the radio elements, it is in the fossil. So, from that we can calculate the age of the fossils. This radioactive carbon C14 dating method was discovered by F. Fibli in 1956. Carbon consumption of a plants and animal will stop after death, since the decaying process of C14s occurs continuously. The time passed since death of a plant or animal can be calculated the amount of C14 present in their body. From this only the determination of age of fossils can be calculated. Geologic time scale. The geologic time scale is a scale with a system of a chronicle dating relates the geological rocks terrace to the time. So, which is used in a geologist and pathologist. The other earth scientists also discovered the timing and relationship events in the geological history or earth history. The useful and important of a Tiruvakrai fossil wood park. It is in a Viluppuram district of Tamil Nadu. 2 million years ago, the tree trunk that got buried along the river. In course of the time, the organic matters are replaced by the silica as formed as a fossilized. The retained the color, shape, texture are converted into solid rocks. You can see the second picture. It is a wood and it is texture and the color and shape is changed into the solid rock. The annular rings, the texture, color, layer, notes, every property of the plants are still visible into this rock, and it is there in the Tiruvakkarai of Viluppuram district. Ethnobotany. It is a study of region, plants and their practical uses through the traditional knowledge. He is a William Hashberger in 1895 to include the study of plants used by the primitive and aboriginal people. The aspects of ethnobotany has the relevance with problems of nutrition, healthcare and life support system, faith in plants, cottage industry, economic upliftment, conservation of biodiversity and sustainable uses of plant resources. These are the aspects of ethnobotany. Importance of ethnobotany. It provides the traditional uses of plants. Second one, which gives the information to the known unknown useful plants. The third one, ethnomedical data will survey a useful source of information, the chemist, pharmacologist, practitioner of herbal medicine. Tribal communities utilize the ethnomedical plant parts like bark, stem, roots, leaf, flower and flower bud, flowers, fruits, seeds, oils, resins, dyes, gums for the treatment of the disease like diarrhea, fever, headache, diabetes, jaundice, snake bites, leprosy, etc. The last topic is astrobiology. It's a science which looks at presence of extraterrestrial lives in the universe. It is a deals with origin, evaluation and distribution of the life in the universe. The major concept of astrobiology is a habitable zone. It must have the right mass, it must have the orbit. Distance need neither too hot or too cold. It's often to be a Goldilocks zone for life. In solar system, Earth is the only planet in the Goldilocks zone. Since zones varies at time as the stars evolves, we know Mars have also be the habitable. The life on the Mars are likely to be the creatures. The organism which we live is a extreme environmental condition, isn't it? That's why we called us extremophiles. Thus, within our solar system, there are many areas that are different from the Earth which are probable to find the presence of life or similar to the extremophile bacteria. So, another information is NASA is developing the Mars 2020 astrobiology to investigate an astrobiological relevant, which will be involved in the Mars. It surface geological process and possibility of the past life of the Mars and preservation of the biosignature within the accessible geological material.